Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
This is entertainment. People pay to watch this.
Pass to a cutting Hiltz. He darts in. He scores!
People actually subscribe.
All across central New York.
Time expired! Syracuse has done it!
It's Drive Time with your host, Tim Leonard.
Hey, guess what? I'm getting one, man!
We welcome you into Drive Time on a Friday in central New York. We have made it to the weekend, and a pretty good weekend slate of games is ahead of us here. Great college basketball weekend, really good college lacrosse weekend, which I know some of you out there care about. We're in central New York after all. 10,000 fans showed up to the Dome for that big win against Maryland. Number one Cuse men's lacrosse team in action tomorrow against Harvard on the road. First road game of the season, first outdoor game of the season. We'll see how they do against a Harvard team that beat them in the regular season early on last year inside the Dome. Then they got their revenge, and still the wildest lacrosse game I've ever seen in person. That Harvard-Syracuse game in the first round of the NCAA tournament last year. Really was thinking back on that today. Such a fork-in-the-road moment for the Syracuse lacrosse program. They win that game. They win the Princeton game. They won 4 games at the end of last season, basically to get to the Final Four by 5 goals. And now, after the win over Maryland, they're number one in the country, and it feels like they are the top dog in the sport right now for the first time in far too long. Back at number one in the polls for the first time since the week before COVID, March 9th, 2020, when that season was cut short. Syracuse was number one in the country. So we can talk some lacrosse today. We'll, of course, talk some Syracuse basketball as well. Men's and women's teams have big games against the North Carolina teams this weekend. The men's team at home tomorrow, 1 p.m. tip on ABC, another national TV, big-time spot. This time at home versus going on the road on a quick turnaround to play at Duke or at UNC. And, of course, the first time around against North Carolina, it was looking very, very ugly, and it still was an ugly loss all in all. But they made it look better at the end. They made it look much more respectable in the score column. Lost the game by 10, cut it to 6 at one point in the final couple minutes at the Dean Dome. Now UNC likely without their top 2 players tomorrow. We know Caleb Wilson definitely out. Caleb Wilson is their best player. He's one of the top players in the country, one of the top freshmen, really in UNC history is what he's putting together in his freshman season. He is out with a hand injury. And then there's Henry Vasar, who between Wilson and Vasar, they have combined for about 45% of their points and 45% of their rebounds this year. They are walking double-doubles, and maybe the 2 best bigs in tandem on one team in the country and 2 of the best bigs in conference in the ACC, and they might both be out for the game tomorrow. It seems Henry Vasar, from what I'm able to gather, is probably not going to play tomorrow. He is listed as questionable according to a John Rothstein tweet that came out this afternoon. The ACC injury report will be available tonight as of 8 p.m. We know Caleb Wilson is out, according to John Rothstein, and I would be surprised if Vasar plays. The messaging around both of them has been a little bit interesting. With Vasar in particular, they said it was an illness when he missed his first game against Pittsburgh. He also missed the NC State game, and they were talking more about an Achilles injury after the NC State game. And he has not practiced, and Hubert Davis is calling him day-to-day in the post-game press conference against NC State. I don't know what Achilles injury would really make you day-to-day, but it feels like the UNC contingency is sort of bracing for not having Caleb Wilson or Henry Vasar for a little bit. And honestly, this is a sneaky, pretty big game for Carolina. I know from a Syracuse perspective, unfortunately, it really won't mean that much to a large sum of you if they go and win this game tomorrow. And by the way, Vegas has the Orange at 2.5-point favorites. Syracuse is 2.5-point underdogs tomorrow. UNC is 2.5-point favorites for this game tomorrow. So the line opened at 3.5. There's been some action clearly on the Syracuse side of things. I think Syracuse is going to win this game tomorrow. I said that on Orange Nation. And if you watch UNC against NC State like I did on Tuesday night, it feels like UNC really is in search of a new identity offensively without Henry Vasar, without Caleb Wilson. And that makes perfect sense to me. So Syracuse at home, remember 2 seasons ago, they got completely blown out at the Dean Dome, lost by 36. They came back home later on in the season and beat UNC when they were a ranked team. Tar Heels are 16th in the country right now, but they lost by 24 to NC State on the road on Tuesday night. And it's really fascinating. I'm pretty checked into the UNC fan base, the pulse of their fan base. I grew up down in that area. It's fascinating how it's some of the same conversations around UNC as the conversations around Syracuse. Now, to a lesser degree, but they're questioning their in-family hire to replace Roy Williams a little bit. I would not say Hubert Davis is on the hot seat. I want to be clear. I don't think Hubert Davis is going to lose his job at the end of this year, but there isn't overwhelming confidence in Hubert Davis is the best man for the job. And a lot of you bring up the point here in Syracuse, hire the best candidate. Don't settle for the best in-family candidate. And it feels like the UNC fan base isn't sure if Hubert Davis, if he didn't play for UNC or he wasn't an in-family guy that was an assistant under Roy Williams, would even be considered. And if that means that they are just giving him the job when if they actually went outside the family, they could get someone better. Now, it felt like Hubert Davis was kind of quieting the noise around him this year. They did just beat Duke. They've had some really high highs this year. I mean, they won at Virginia. They won at Kentucky. Those are 2 really impressive road wins. They've had some lows as well, and they really have not been a great team away from home this year. They're 3-5 on the road. They're 15-0 at home. And we know Syracuse played well in the second half against them. The game really got out of reach the first time. They were down by 32. We know Syracuse has really struggled against the top dogs in the conference. But this feels like a winnable game because UNC is not some unbelievable defense like Duke is. Carolina is 46th in Ken Palm's defensive ranking. So they've been led by their offense much of this year. And right now their offense is searching. And it is similar conversations because when I talk to UNC fans and UNC followers and the people that cover the Tar Heels, they're saying a lot of stuff that reminds me of what the chatter is around Syracuse's offense. There's a lot of talk of, I don't know what plays Hubert Davis is running, but it looks like they're just stagnant on offense. There's no ball movement. And the takeaway from the NC State game was, boy, that offense was rough and it was stagnant. And they shot it 1 for 16 from 3 in the first half. Seth Trimble made that 3 against Duke at the buzzer. He has not made a 3 since. He's 0 for 8 in his last 3 games, and he's only 6 for 27 from the floor. The veteran point guard, Seth Trimble, as he has had to fill a bigger role scoring-wise, not having Vasar or Wilson for the last 2 games. So the perception around Carolina is they're going to go up there and lose the game. I'm telling you that, not me talking to just the negative side of the fan base, which, of course, there's a negative side to every fan base. And there is a section of the UNC fan base that probably wants Hubert Davis out. They did just land the number 2 point guard in the class next year, number 10 player in the class, Dylan Mingo. So I think that's going to help his cause for sure. I don't think Hubert Davis is going anywhere. That being said, if they lose this game tomorrow, UNC, their end of the regular season schedule is pretty tough. And if they are truly without Caleb Wilson for a little bit and Henry Vasar for a little bit, and they can't figure this out, they could go on quite the skid here that could really hurt their NCAA tournament resume. And if it is truly an Achilles injury for Henry Vasar, I don't know how quickly he's coming back. They turn it around, big Monday game at home against Louisville. They're 1-point underdogs on KenPom in that game, and that's not even taking into account that they might be down at least one and maybe both of their star players. Then they're home for Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's a pretty good team. That is home, so they're going to be favored in that game, but it's not a cakewalk. Then they're home for Clemson, so they do have 3 straight home games after the Syracuse game, but those are all potentially tournament teams, and in the case of Clemson and Louisville, 2 very solid teams that are going to be tough to beat. And then they go to Duke to finish up the regular season, which the Orange know how tough that is. I don't see them beating Duke without one or both of their best players. So Carolina really needs a win tomorrow, or else things are going to get into panic mode a little bit, and the heat is going to get cranked up on Hubert Davis, I bet. And that will make for an interesting discussion. If you're a Syracuse fan, I don't think you really want the UNC job opening this offseason when it seems like Syracuse might open. But my prediction tomorrow is Syracuse wins this game, actually. And I don't think that really means a whole lot about Syracuse, or I don't think that changes their chances of making the tournament that much. But it would be nice to see on a day that you're retiring Jim Lee and Rudy Hackett, the Orange have another fun win at home, which is what I'm expecting to happen tomorrow. And I'm going out on a ledge a little bit when I say that, but I just like the matchup, and I like the idea that UNC is really at a loss of an identity without likely their 2 best players tomorrow inside the Dome. We'll take an early timeout. That was our Burdick BMW of Cicero opening drive. When we return, Shai Hawkins of the Orange women's basketball team will be set to join us on the other side. We'll chat with Shai as we welcome you back to Drive Time on ESPN Radio and QSportsTalk.com. Oh, another pizza, Kev. I don't know. That didn't go well for me last time. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get her to sing, Ryan. That was fun. Were you listening to the coach's show Monday night? We were joking about that. I think she is a pretty good chef. I think that's the word on the street amongst the team. Yeah, lines agree with Torvik and KenPom and all that. Carolina hasn't been good on the road this year. Yeah, has that game started, USA, Canada? I've been bad. Those games keep happening right when I'm on the air. I haven't watched enough of it. You guys are taking UNC tomorrow? What's the consensus in here? Thanks for listening, Ryan. Those shows have been fun. Office hours. Hey. How are we doing? Oh, yeah, they hate each other. Yeah. All he says the team was fighting at practice. Not actually.
No, they were singing happy birthday to Sheffy.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So it was fun. Everybody's laughing, having a good time.
Imagine that. Red said practice went great this week, so.
Yeah, we'll see.
Who would have thunk it?
We will see.
It's another reason to believe in them. I just made the case that they're going to win.
I don't like that the people agree with me about JJ. That means there's a bad take.
Well,
like
yeah. Someone said I agree, and then I saw one response that was like, or he was like, JJ isn't playing as hard as like the team that wasn't even that good, like Jimmy Boeheim and Swider, which that team did play hard, I'd say, but it's like revisionist history to think that team was liked.
That team should have made the tournament, but Jesse got hurt.
Yeah, that's true. We need a performance like the Cole Swider at UNC tomorrow. That was crazy. He was cooking it. That was at the Dean Dome, though.
That was offense. Like, you should be able to score a lot.
Yeah. Well, they had no defense, though. Swider, Buddy, Jimmy, JG3. I mean, that's a lot of offensive-minded players. Even Jesse. He was a good defender, but still. Probably looking jacked in the puffer jacket.
I am jacked. I hurt myself.
When's the last time you pumped steel, or what do you always call it?
Because my leg.
Oh,
I stood up
that's
and
what.
it hurt again.
Earlier, Paulie was changing something in here and just made a grunt, and I was like, "You okay?" And he's like, "I'm just getting old, man. Just lay off me."
I'm starting physical therapy Tuesday of next week, which is dumb to do because I gotta go to the ACC tournament.
Yeah.
Although it'll probably
Gonna
be a short
derail
trip.
it. Yeah, right. I don't know if you're going to be going to a tournament after the ACC tournament as things stand.
What if he makes the NIT?
Would they play? I mean, I love how it's he. Like,
Because like there's so many weird outliers. Like,
yeah.
Does Griff coach that like it's a TBT?
I hope not.
100 a.m. and 1440 a.m. Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com.
Welcome back into Drive Time on a Friday afternoon in Central New York. Big weekend of games upcoming. Syracuse men's basketball tomorrow at 1 p.m. against UNC. Men's lacrosse tomorrow. The number one team in the country will take on Harvard on the road. And then don't forget Sunday at 2 p.m. Very important game for the Orange women's basketball team. They are on the road at NC State. Always a tough place to go and win a game at Reynolds Coliseum. NC State has dropped their last two games. The Cuse have won 2 in a row, and they sit in a tie for third right now in the ACC standings. And a big reason for that is the play of Shy Hawkins, who is our next guest here. You can see her on QSportsTalk.com right now as we welcome on Shy Hawkins, a sophomore for the Orange women's basketball team. And Shy, I'm sure this has been a fun team to be a part of this year, the way you guys are playing right now and sitting at 21-5 on the season. How much fun has it been to be around this group throughout the year and be playing this good of basketball right now?
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's not a day that goes by where we're not laughing or, just having fun on and off the court. Being around these girls, we have our time where we're talking basketball, and then off the court, it's like we're either hanging out, going to get our nails done, going to get something to eat. Always something, so, yeah.
Yeah, and I know you guys are on TikTok a lot or singing or dancing in the locker room. It feels like you've struck a good balance this year of having a lot of fun off the court, but also being locked in on the court. And that's something that I feel like Coach Jack kind of embodies as well. She's always locked in, we know, when it's game time or it's practice, but she'll have fun with you guys off the court. Do you feel that that's accurate, that you've kind of walked that line pretty well throughout the season of having fun off the court, but locking in when it's game time?
Yeah, absolutely. When it's time for us to, play, Coach is definitely in her coaching mode and very motivational and passionate about, what she's about to coach us up about. But once we're done playing, Coach is honestly like another mother. Like, we can talk to her about anything, and she'll have our jokes and dance and do all that fun stuff off the court as well. So it's definitely an even balance.
Yeah, we were having some fun Monday night at the Wegmans Burger Bar when we had the Coach Jack show. You were out there, and she was joking a lot about just her being around this team and how much fun she's having with this team. And we talked about how you made those free throws at the end of the Clemson game, which really iced the game, took it from a 2-point game to a 4-point game with about 4 seconds left. And Coach Jack was saying that's not how it was going in shoot-around that morning on Sunday. Is that true, that you were struggling with your free throws and shoot-around, and then you made them when it mattered most?
I mean, honestly, I wasn't struggling, but
okay,
just trying to, I always want to hit 10 in a row before I leave the gym. We do free throws during our shoot around, so my free throws kind of were iffy during shoot around, so I had to make sure I had to get it like all locked in before the game. So yeah.
That's funny. Were you thinking about that at all when you went to the line, or is that just something that was so far removed at that point? Because you looked very calm and poised when you were at the line, and you knocked them down, of course, when they mattered.
Well, yeah, I mean, I practice free throws every day, so I was pretty confident. A little nervous, but I was pretty confident in making them. So, and I knew I made 10 before I left that morning, so I was pretty confident.
Yeah, I guess that shows you. Make sure that you leave there on a make, and make sure that you take advantage of shoot around in the end of shoot around. You had kind of a funny moment, to me at least, where you made the first free throw, nothing but net. You know you're getting the second one. This would push it to a 2-possession game and really effectively end the game. And you turned around, and Dom and Layla come up from basically the three-point line, two of the captains, to give you a high five. It seemed like you were kind of joking and smiling with them in that moment. Is that fair to say that you were just sort of staying loose with them?
Yeah, definitely. They always keep me calm. I think Layla might have threw in a joke or something like, you better have made those, like, 'cause if not, so, it was a little joke, but I was definitely very, poised and confident. They always make me very comfortable on the floor, so.
Yeah, let's talk about them a little bit, because those are two leaders that are new to the program this year, and they come from winning cultures, and they come from other programs that have gone deep into the NCAA tournament. How helpful has that been this year to have a balance of some great leaders that came in from outside the program, and then you've also got this good group of returners as well that are in maybe the second or third year with Coach Jack? But specifically with Dom and Layla, how impactful have they been as leaders this season?
Yeah, I would definitely say very impactful. They came from winning programs, so they know like a lot more about the game than I do, and what it's like to get to the points where we're trying to go to now. So they definitely helped me a lot with any questions I have. I mean, like with them being new, obviously they still have some questions about like how we play or like how we did it last year. So I help them on that end. But when it comes to like other questions that don't relate to like what we've been doing previously before they got here, they definitely helped me out a lot.
Yeah, and of course, Sophie has been around the program longer than anyone at this point. This is her third year with Coach Jack, and she has that unbelievable game Sunday where she goes for a career-high 16 rebounds. What was it like watching Sophie, who is always a pretty good rebounder, but she's having this unbelievable game rebounding-wise, and she scores 19 points? I mean, it was an amazing performance she had on Sunday.
Yeah, it was great. I'm so proud of Sophie. If she's hitting shots or if she's not, she's always doing other little things. So, to see her have a game like that, it made me very happy.
And for you, I know freshman year you come in and you have to make the adjustment to college, right? And you are a very highly ranked recruit, and sometimes it works out where you're stuck behind some really good players as a freshman, and that was a little bit of the case for you last year. Now you made the decision to come back to Syracuse for your sophomore year, and your role has definitely increased this year, which is good to see. Sometimes now in the transfer portal era, you feel like people don't stick it out as much, and you don't see as much of the player making a leap from freshman to sophomore year at the same program. When you look back on your freshman year and where you are now as a sophomore in a bigger role, how much more confident are you, and what are the things that have changed for you on the court in your sophomore year, maybe compared to last season?
Yeah, so I think last year I was just trying to adjust to the different level of the game, and just being on my feet. I was always going so fast in my head, trying to do this and that, all at one time, and I really just had to slow it down and just trust my coaches and understand what exactly like they wanted from me. So just having some conversation with them and trying to figure out like how I can be used like in a really impactful way, and just focusing on that role and going hard in that role, and like I said, slowing things down in my head because there was a lot going on, which that kind of held me back a little. So yeah, definitely just slowing it down and being on my feet were.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Getting more used to the speed of the game at the college level. And like I said, I feel like nowadays there are a lot of players that were in your position maybe last year, and then they just decided, I'm going to hit the transfer portal, and I'm going to go somewhere where I know it's going to be a little bit easier to play. So I think it's admirable that you stuck it out. And I guess what would be your message to someone maybe in a similar situation like that? And And how much did you consider kind of, should I move on to a different school? And why ultimately do you feel like coming back to Syracuse was the right thing for you? Because clearly it's working out with the way this season has gone.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say to trust the process. And just, just slow everything down and try to figure out what it is that you need to improve on. And when you do figure that out, to, really focus on it and go hard in it, because it does get better. And it took a lot of just really trusting my coaches, like I said, and just get a better understanding from them, what they need from me. So, yeah.
Shai Hawkins is with us, who hit the 2 free throws to win the game against Clemson on Sunday, one of the Orange's starting wings, and has been a big part of the 21-5 Cuse women's basketball team this season. And it's been cool, Shai, to see the crowds are growing throughout the year. And one of the biggest crowds I've seen for SU women's basketball on Sunday in that Clemson game, which was the pink out game, about 5,000 fans were there. How awesome is it from your vantage point to see the crowds are growing and see that there is a little bit more buy-in from the community as you guys are winning this season?
Yeah, I love it. I love seeing all the fans and all the support that we're getting. It helps us a lot. When we see all the people, with signs and, just our supporters, it definitely helps. It helps us get going even more because, we want to play for them as well. So keep bringing everybody and supporting it.
Yeah, and it feels like also nationally, obviously, the sport of women's basketball is growing. And we saw this week, even ESPN is now going to have a women's sports Sunday night in the summer and going to showcase some WNBA games and some National Women's Soccer League games, too. How cool is it for you to be at a point in college basketball on the women's side where you are seeing the growth of the sport and it's becoming more of a bigger deal? And maybe when you were watching the game in your middle school days, it wasn't as big of the support that you're seeing now. That's going to be probably pretty neat to know that you're at kind of this inflection point of the sport where it is growing quite a bit.
Yeah, it's great to be a part of. I love to see how the women's basketball game is evolving. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's leave you with this. The NC State game on Sunday. What do we need to know about this matchup, and what are the big things that you guys have been working on in practice this week, knowing that you've had a little bit of extra time to prepare for NC State, and they're a great team on the road that you're going to be playing on Sunday?
I would just say just staying disciplined and true to, what we do, knowing personnel, and just playing our game how we always play.
All right, Shai. Well, this will be a fun one on Sunday. We're all looking forward to it. We wish you the best of luck the rest of the season and continued success, as you guys have really been playing some great basketball to this point. So we appreciate you coming on, and continued success the rest of the season.
Thank you so much.
All right, Shai Hawkins, kind enough to join us here on Drive Time, who has been a big part of the Orange women's basketball season so far. And we had her teammate Sophie Burrows on Wednesday. She was named the ACC Player of the Week. Shai was also huge in that win over Clemson, hitting those free throws late in the game. So great to have her on here, and great to see some of the support growing around Central New York for this women's team. They have been a blast to follow this year, and that is a very important game for them on Sunday against NC State. One of the big things on the line here, really, in the last 3 regular season games for the women's team is the opportunity to get the double bye in the ACC tournament, which they did do a couple years ago when they were the 3 seed in the ACC tournament. They're right now tied for 3rd in the conference. Top 4 teams, seeding-wise, get the double bye in the conference tournament, which will actually be in Duluth, Georgia this year. For years, it's been in Greensboro. They're switching it to Duluth, Georgia this year. So great of Shai to join us. We'll take a time out here. We can work in your thoughts on the phone lines if you'd like at 315-437-7644. When we return, I want to talk about how a ruling came out today on Joey Aguilar and how that might affect the likelihood of one of the men's basketball players, one of the stars for the Syracuse men's basketball team, getting an opportunity to play next season for Syracuse. We'll talk about that on the other side. You're listening to Drive Time on ESPN Radio.
This is Orange.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with our announcement stuff here. The Q Sports Talk bot is taking up the chat with all these different announcements. Something got reset.
New York, when your commercial property needs to make the right impression, trust the team that keeps Syracuse looking its best. CNY Lawn and Snow LLC. From meticulous lawn care and landscape maintenance to
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Kev. They've got some great players on this team, and they're all fun personalities off the court, too. A lot of good stories on this year's team. Maybe money line if you're feeling frisky. I just picked them to win, Philly, so I won't be betting on it, but that would be my pick. Yeah, I could see a lot of zone. And then, I don't know, Ryan, let's think. I mean, I know they don't feel great about Uche yet. She's still kind of getting used to speaking English, and I would love to get her on, but I don't want to put her in front of the camera if she's not comfortable, too. We've had Layla, we've had Dom, we've had Sophie, we've had Shy. I don't know, you could throw out a suggestion. There's so many good interviews and so many good players, so. I saw Shy was at the coaches show Monday night, so we were kind of like, let's get Shy. I'm staying away from the pie bets. Maybe if I win this one, I'll have more faith next time around. But I know if I do that, I'll completely jinx them, Kev. Yeah, Liv could be good. Liv always, or Camden, they'd both be good. Liv always gets a big cheer when she comes in the game. I feel like she's a fan favorite, maybe because of TikTok and social media.
Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said rockets from New York, but his nose said, hey, freshest scent ever. Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring a bottle of Jane Sempe into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, sir, your scent maracas smell amazing. Actually, Jim, my smell just call them Jane Sempe. Try Jane Sempe. Way fresher than detergent alone.
Yeah, her dad is usually at the games. You talking about Liv or someone else? Sorry, I was thinking about Liv. Yeah, we need a Helium Dave parlay. That's right, Pitar. UNC usually has had a good game plan for zone, but that's kind of more in the Roy time period. I do think they're not a terrific shooting team, and without Wilson and Basar. The other thing is, I mean, they just didn't look good offensively against man on Tuesday night. They're going to struggle because so much of their offense is kind of generating double teams off of Basar and Wilson. You guys are like peer pressuring me into... I lost the bet. I didn't even pay up, Kev, last time. Which is, I offered, but he was just too nice. Well, what game was that? I'm trying to remember, Kev. You'll know, I'm sure. It was a football game for sure. I'm just trying to remember which one. Was it Clemson, right? Clemson? Yeah, Jello we've had on the coaches. I think that was last year we had on the coaches show. She's a good interview. Clemson, that's right, yeah. Double or nothing.
ESPN 97.7 and 100.1.
Drive time continues on a Friday afternoon. Just finished up chatting with Shai Hawkins, Orange women's basketball starting wing, who's had a very nice sophomore season. Good to see someone have an okay freshman year, and I say okay, just meaning that nowadays, if you're not playing right away and you have the opportunity to transfer and not sit out a year, you see so many people take advantage of that opportunity and maybe overuse that opportunity. And that was one of the more impressive things about Coach Jack and the culture they have on this specific team, and even dating back to last year. They really had a terrible year last year from a wins-loss perspective, and there's no getting around that. They were 12-18 last year, and everyone that could return did return to the Orange women's basketball roster this year, and Shai Hawkins was in that group, and Kira Scott, who was at the coach's show with Shai and is one of her close friends, and there are so many friends on this team. There's no cliques or anything like that, and you can tell that this team from day one has really gotten along with playing with one another. So great to have her on, and great to see the women's basketball team playing well. They have been very good on the road this year. They're 6-1 in road games. And for everyone that's thinking, why aren't they ranked yet? If they go and beat NC State on Sunday, they would really strengthen their case for being ranked. They're about 7.5-point underdogs in that game, according to Bart Torvik's simulation of the game. So they're not expected to win. NC State has dropped 2 in a row. NC State's a very tall team, very good rebounding team, great program. Wes Moore is second all-time, or second among active coaches, I should say, right now in wins, just behind Gino. So he is a tremendous coach, ACC Coach of the Year last year, and it feels like Coach Jack is going to be ACC Coach of the Year this year once again. Let's see, I think we got someone on the phone lines. Let's see if we can figure it out. We got David in Syracuse, who is on the phone lines with us. And David, what's going on?
Hey, Tim. I'm switching back to the men's basketball.
All right.
Question for you. So I think we're pretty safe with making the ACC tournament.
Yes.
Right now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where we stand to get a single bye. How far behind are we to get a single bye for the tournament?
So if I remember correct off the top of my head, you have 8-9 game, right? And then 7-10. So I think they're a little ways off right now, Dave, because last I looked, and I can pull up the standings as we're talking, but they're more in the range of like 11 or 12 right now. Now, of course, their schedule at the end of the year is tougher than a lot of other teams. I looked at SMU the other day just because I was kind of curious, would SMU vault into quad 1 category for Syracuse? They're right on the edge of it right now. It'd have to be a top 30 in the net ranking situation, and SMU's got an easy rest of their schedule. We talked about UNC as kind of a tough rest of their schedule. So Syracuse is going to make the ACC tournament. I think it's a little unlikely that they get into the bye range because of the schedule they have remaining. But we'll see. I mean, if they win this game tomorrow, then that would go a long way, of course, to putting them into a more favorable seed.
Gotcha. So I'm just kind of grabbing at straws for things we might be playing for.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of the year, so I share season tickets with somebody, and we kind of have a draft to pick games. And, of course, this was the first game picked. You know, we're hoping that the North Carolina game, you know, before the season started, was going to be an impactful game for both teams. And, in essence, it kind of stinks. You know, I don't think it kills North Carolina to lose this game because of their 2 guys missing. I still think that they're in good shape for the tournament. And we know what's happened to us for the season.
Yeah, UNC's going to make the tournament, Dave, but I do think if they lose this game, then panic might set in. Like I said earlier, I mean, they could slide here and lose a couple in a row. They've already dropped 2 of their last 3. So, you know, it doesn't take much for their fan base to start raising the pitchforks a little bit. So I think it's maybe a little bit bigger for them than you would think, but you're right about Syracuse. It's a bummer. I mean, I know Jim Lee, Rudy Hackett being there and getting their jersey retired. Like, hopefully that inspires a little bit more. And we just got to hope that the Duke loss leaves a sting in the Syracuse team, or a bad taste in their mouth, and they're kind of come out guns blazing at home, because it seems like Coach Autry was happy with their practice when we got a chance to speak to him yesterday on Orange Nation. And you just got to hope that they're ready to roll like they have been really for the last 2 home games.
Yeah, I hope you're right. It never fails, though. So, somebody from North Carolina that you don't expect is going to go crazy.
Yeah.
Going to get hot. Going to do something that he hasn't done all year. It happens all the time. And it should be a competitive game anyway. If we're not competitive with these guys tomorrow, man, you're going to see the fans really blasting away.
Yeah, they definitely should be competitive, especially if Vasar is not playing. So, by the way, Dave, they are tied for 11th in the ACC and the projected 12 seed right now. They're tied with Virginia Tech, who, of course, beat them. So they're basically on the 12 seed line right now. You got Wake Forest and Stanford right behind them. But you just got to make the top 15 to make the ACC tournament. So they've essentially locked that up. Even if they lose out, I think they'll make that with 6 wins already. But, it's a little bit of an uphill climb when you consider how tough their schedule is the rest of the way to get into the bye range, I'd say.
Yeah. And what's the lowest seed that would make the one bye? Yeah.
I think it's 9 seed because, if you're 8 and 9 already play against each other, but they're already on the second day, is my memory of it. And then it's 10, 15, 11, 14, 12, 13 on the first day. So,
gotcha. So we got to fight to get the 9th seed. We got to fight to get there.
Right.
Just to get 1 9. Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
All right. Thanks for checking in, Dave.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
All right, Dave in Syracuse. I did want to talk a little bit about the ruling that came out not that long ago. It looks like Joey Aguilar has been denied his chance of playing next season for Tennessee. And the reason why this is important is I think this is going to hurt the likelihood of Nate Kings getting an additional year. We talked a lot about which players do you want back, which players would you say good riddance, and obviously that's kind of a tough conversation to have and a tough conversation to project considering that we don't exactly know who the next head coach will be at Syracuse. It's not like in the last year conversation where you knew that Coach Autry was probably going to be back. Nate Kings, I think there's been some chatter, and Coach Autry has said they will work to get him an additional year. And basically the case for Nate Kings is if you don't count my JUCO years, which is what Diego Pavia was trying to get across. And remember, Diego Pavia, the Vandy quarterback, did get an additional year. As the rule stands right now, you have 5 seasons to play 4 seasons in NCAA sports. You have 5 years to compete for 4 seasons. And as it stands right now, it counts junior college into that. Your time at junior college, although it's not a part of the NCAA, it counts for college eligibility. And the fear is that if you did have the opportunity to get everyone, say, wipe out the JUCO, then you're immediately into a conversation of someone could play 4 years of JUCO basketball and still have 4 years of eligibility in college basketball and be playing until they're 28 or 29. So Diego Pavia got a waiver to play last year. My understanding is there was never a ruling on the Vandy quarterback, Diego Pavia. Then Joey Aguilar was looking for a ruling this year. And Aguilar's case is he played for Diablo Community College for 2 seasons. Here's the Joey Aguilar story. 2019 redshirt at City College of San Francisco, 2020 COVID year. So he does have a COVID year in there. He then played for Diablo Community College for 2 years, Appalachian State for 2 years, and 1 year at Tennessee. So that is 5 years of playing. And he got the 5th year because of he is a COVID guy and he had a COVID year. So now he's out of eligibility. He's played 4 seasons, basically, if you take away the COVID year. He was looking for an additional year and looking to say, my time at Diablo does not count. I can come back and play at Tennessee, and that would give me another year of eligibility. And he did not get that granted. Nate Kings played his freshman year at Westmont, sophomore year at Southern Idaho at JUCO. Then junior year, he transferred to Oregon State. He tore his ACL, medical redshirt year. So that's his extra year, basically 5 years to play 4. That's his 1 year right there. Redshirt junior year last year was at Oregon State. He played well Now he's played his senior year at Syracuse. So he has played 5. He's been in college 5 seasons. He's played 4 years. So he's right at the rule right now. And Joey Aguilar did not prove that JUCO does not count against you. Now, there could be a case of Joey Aguilar suing, which it seems like he's just going to go to the NFL draft now. But I would say this is bad news today, what came out in regards to Nate King's getting eligibility next year. Now, there is some speculation that a 5 for 5 could just be coming. Everyone gets 5 years regardless. That would include William Kyle would get a 5th year, or other players that are on the roster. J.J. Starling would get a 5th year. If that happens, it's a totally different story and everything's out the window. But as it stands right now, I would be pretty surprised if Nate Kings does get an additional year based on the precedent that was set today with Joey Aguilar. Let's go back to the phone lines. We've got Chris, who is in Syracuse. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Tim. How's it going? I just called back on a daughter call about the ACC tournament. The most important thing, they can't be an 8 seed. I hate to say it. I know it's a day off, top 8, top 9. They'll be playing Duke. They don't want that. You want to have this 5 to 7 or 10 to 13 range based on the matchups. I mean, they'll probably be most likely be like Clemson. There's a 4 or 5 seed. It's possible.
Yeah,
that's the best way. The only time it's crazy to have to play 5 days rather than play 4 because avoiding Duke. Well, the best way to actually have a chance to even do anything in the tournament, I guess, in the ACC tournament, if they go that route. So
yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want to draw Duke. We saw how that went. It would be down in North Carolina. Duke would have a lot of fans there. So it's a good point, Chris, that it's going to be very tough to make a run if your run has to go through Duke. Now, more than likely, you are going to have to go through Duke at some point. If you're talking, okay, you get to play Clemson in the 4 seed game, then you're probably just getting Duke in the next game after that. So Syracuse is going to have to beat some really good teams to go on a run in the ACC tournament regardless, but it is a point well taken that if you're in the 8-9 matchup, you're almost winning that game just to have the honor of losing to Duke. That's kind of how it feels right now. Louisville, I think, is also outstanding. We're going to see the Orange go against Louisville here in a little bit. And I would put Louisville in the category of Virginia, of UNC, where even NC State, where now UNC without their top 2 players is a separate conversation, but Syracuse has not been able to stay on the floor with any of the top teams. Clemson at home, they stayed on the floor, and they really maybe should have won that game, and you hoped that that would have been a win at that juncture of the season. But, you know, the top 4 teams, really top 5 when you include NC State. So you got State, Virginia, UNC, and then you've got Duke and Louisville, who are the top 2, in my opinion. Those teams are just so much better than Syracuse, unfortunately, and there's not much optimism that they would hang with them. Looks like the phone lines are ringing, so we'll get to more of your thoughts on the other side. We do have to work in a break, and we can get to more phone calls before we wrap up the week after this on Drive Time.
Be sure to tune into
Oh, no. Screener going crazy. End on a make? That's not possible with the callers, Philly. It's Friday at 5. You never know. Look at the YouTube chat. How we doing, YouTube? How's the hockey game going? They're winning? Yeah, sorry about all these old notices. Felicia Leggett Jack does not come on Gomez and Company Mondays at 7:40. Brian is not back, no. These are old. I'm sure you can find Brian on YouTube, though. He is on the YouTube. Brian is not coming back at 4 p.m., Ryan. No. Do you guys actually think he was coming back, or are you just joking? I've got a fancy dinner date, Kev, so at an undisclosed location. No, I don't. I guess I could say where I'm going. Brewster Inn. F YouTube, F YouTube, F YouTube. Oh, we got Scooter and we got Michael and Manly. It's what a way to end the week. I think we got to go Scooter first, and then Michael is going to tell us that Syracuse needs to not back down from the challenge against UNC, and then I'll give us a positive message to end the week. No, guys. How would his show be every weekday at 4 and my show be going right now too? This is the way. I've actually never been, Ryan, but people that have been rave about it. Are you saying, Philly, that would get them in the tournament, 18-13, followed by a run to the ACC tournament final? It would be in the conversation, I guess. I'd have to really think about that, but thanks, Supercat. And I'm out of here tomorrow to get some sunshine and maybe some golf back in my hometown, basically. And the women play NC State. No, San Diego Cuse. It's 6 months. That's why we picked a fancy spot. The Bieberstein? The Baberstein? Yeah, I should make up for my lost golf trip, Ryan. Good memory.
ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com.
Rolling along on Drive Time. Friday afternoon, wrapping up the show, and we've got two OG callers to Drive Time. Two of the best callers here. A fitting way to wrap up our Friday afternoon Drive Time show as we ride along. Orange basketball in the Dome tomorrow. We'll have pregame and postgame coverage. I'll be on the road going down to my home state, maybe working some golf tomorrow ahead of the Orange women's basketball team taking on NC State on Sunday. We'll have pregame for that at 1:45, 2 p.m. tip against NC State on Sunday. Luke Burgess and Kyle Federley will have you covered on the radio side of things for men's lacrosse tomorrow with a 12:30 start before the 1 p.m. faceoff. That'll be on ESPN Radio tomorrow, this station, TK99 for the men's basketball game. Let's go to Scooter in Jamesville, one of our great callers. I've hyped you up here, Scooter, so what do you got?
Well, Timmy, I've said that this might not be a good year for up-and-coming coaches if that's the way Syracuse would have to go, like from the mid-majors. It seems like the last 2 years, I mean, look at the ACC with the Miami, Florida State, and Louisville and Virginia. And then you go to Michigan, we've got the Florida Atlantic coach and a couple other outside. So I'm thinking, where do you go if you don't have an up-and-coming coach? You have to go to somebody that's had success, to maybe hit that plateau, and things are dropping a little bit. And the name that came to me was Scott Drew from Baylor, who took over a program that was on the death penalty. But since they've added the Arizonas, the Houstons, the Brigham Youngs, they have not had that success, and maybe he's getting frustrated because he can't go any further, like a John Calipari who's at Kentucky, and basically he just wanted to go to Arkansas to get out of there. That maybe Scott Drew is ready for a change, and that's somebody with success. It's won a title, but maybe how far can Baylor go with all these new ones added to the Big 12?
Yeah, I mean, he's a terrific coach, Scooter. He's been there for what feels like forever, and I think he would be an unbelievable hire if they could get him. I just don't know if Baylor right now is really that much below Syracuse. I understand what you're saying, that he's kind of cooled off a little bit, and Baylor isn't really cooking with gas at the minute, but Baylor's in the Big 12, and it feels like they're probably in a better spot in terms of talent acquisition in the last couple of years than Syracuse. So he would fall in the category for me if you would give him a call or you'd gauge interest. And if you found out that maybe he was sniffing around or he was looking to leave Baylor, which I don't really get that vibe, although I don't know for sure, then you would be interested in him. I like where your head's at. I mean, I think that everyone right now is thinking Josh Schertz, Brian Hodgson, and no one else. And I saw Jeff Goodman tweeted today, here are the two guys I'd go after if Syracuse does open: Josh Schertz, Brian Hodgson. And he put it in that order. And I keep bringing up other names because what if both of those guys go somewhere else, or what if it doesn't happen here at Syracuse for either of those guys? So we got to be thinking about some outside-the-box candidates. And the other thing to consider is a lot of jobs are going to open that we're not even anticipating opening here. And that's going to lead to the coaching carousel spinning. Like, what if Mick Cronin leaves UCLA and then that opens up a big job at UCLA? Or, you know, Bill Self has had some health issues recently. Could he retire? Could Rick Barnes retire? There's a lot of coaches that could retire, honestly, given where college basketball is at right now. It feels like there's one or two legendary coaches retiring each year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is not a good year for up-and-coming coaches. If you look at, and it's going to be more difficult because these mid-majors are going to lose players left and right. So they're not going to be able to, do well maybe in the tournament because that's how they make their names. They usually get some major upsets and get notoriety. But how many big upsets has there been outside McNeese State? Last year, I think, against Clemson in the tournament anymore. So you're not going to get that recognition. And I'm just saying, okay, now look at the coaches that are frustrated where they are. They're not getting, they've had success, but things are spiraling down. And like I said, Calipari maybe is not a good example, but Calipari didn't, once he knew that the handwriting was on the wall, he went to Arkansas, and that was enough at Kentucky. So I'm just thinking of Scott Drew. Because of the teams they've added. He's now going to have to jump Houston. He's going to have to jump Arizona. I mean, both of them have been number one in the country. And he now coaching throwing a BYU, and I think Arizona State's in there too. That it's going to make it more difficult. So I'm just saying that a coach like that that's had success and maybe just looking for it's time to move on because we can't go any further.
I like where you're thinking. I would be all for a coach that is maybe looking for a softer landing somewhere else that is really good. And it could be a resources discussion. That's what we saw with Kevin Willard last year. I brought him up. He went from Maryland to Villanova, and on the way out, remember he kept making those comments about Maryland's NIL isn't good enough. And then they filled him with Buzz Williams. He has not done well at Maryland, but that was a big success for Villanova. And when Villanova knew that Kyle Neptune was getting fired around this time last year, or maybe go back to early January, I don't think anyone that followed Villanova closely was thinking Kevin Willard because you just didn't think that he would hit the open market necessarily. So we got to keep our eyes open for any of those coaches that are maybe looking to bounce from a job that's parallel to Syracuse.
Thanks, Timmy.
All right. Appreciate you, Scooter. Good call. And now let's go to Michael in Manlius, who's been waiting patiently. Michael's going to wrap up the week for us. And, Michael, you usually got a positive thought for us, so this will be a good way to cap the week. How are we doing today?
How you doing, Tim? What's up?
Doing well.
All right, good. Okay, I got a bloop and a blast for you today. The bloop is this.
I like it.
The joke goes like this. What's UNC going to say when we're done with them? Uncle.
Uncle?
That's the bloop. The blast is this. Okay, I'm going to the game with my dad tomorrow, and in all seriousness, people don't want to admit the truth in this. If they fire Autry, we probably are signing on for 5 losing seasons. No joke. So that's the blast. But the true blast, I know you're a Yankee fan, Tim, so that's right around the corner, you know?
Yeah, we're getting there. Yep. Bloop and a blast. I like it. All right, going to your baseball terminology there. I'm not sure why they're screaming uncle, but we appreciate Michael for chiming in there to end the week on Drive Time. That's going to be that for Drive Time this week. Thanks to all of you in the Q Sports Talk chat. Enjoy the games this weekend. Doubleheader tomorrow at 1 p.m., men's basketball and lacrosse, and then women's basketball on Sunday. I'll talk to all of you on Monday when we're back for another Drive Time, weeknights 5 to 6 p.m. here on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
Did you miss Drive Time?